Hey everybody, so we stopped here in last class. So today we'll talk about the blood pressure. Okay. First we'll see what is blood pressure. We'll know that. Then we'll see different types of blood pressure. Then we'll talk about the regulation of blood pressure and the factors that can change the blood pressure. So first, what is blood pressure? Its name is telling you. What is it, right? Pressure given by whom? The blood. That's why it is called the blood pressure. The pressure exerted by the blood on the arterial wall. Make sense? While the blood passes through it. So, now, you tell me, this is a blood vessel, artery, okay, and we know that blood passes like this. When the blood passes this way, this is the main pressure, this way, right, because blood is going that way. But also, some pressure falls on the arterial wall. So most of the pressure is this way, that moves the blood. But also, while blood is passing, some pressure falls on the arterial wall. And that is the blood pressure. Make sense? So it is a lateral pressure. This pressure is called the lateral pressure. Lateral pressure given by the blood on the arterial wall. Okay. Now, you tell me the pressure on the arterial wall will be more when your heart pumps the blood out or when blood returns into the heart. Look at me. This is your heart, okay? Heart has contracted and blood went out to the blood vessel, into the blood vessel. Make sense? When heart contracts, blood enters into the arteries, right? So the pressure on the arterial wall will go up. Make sense? More blood, more pressure. Now when heart relaxes, blood gets back into the heart, right? So less blood inside the artery. So the pressure will be less. Makes sense, right? So that's why we have two pressures, systolic and what is the other one? Diastolic, right? So systolic pressure during the contraction of the heart and diastolic pressure during what? Relaxation of the heart. So which pressure is high? During the contraction, right? More blood inside the artery. When heart relaxes, blood returns. So less blood inside the artery. Make sense? So that's why we see two pressures. One is called the systolic pressure. During the systole or contraction of the heart. And another is what? Diastolic pressure. During the relaxation or diastole of the heart. Systole means contraction, diastole means relaxation. Okay? So this pressure is higher than this one. Okay? Now, systolic pressure, different books will give you little bit different values. The range will say 100 to 120 millimeter of mercury. Okay? That is the unit of pressure on the arterial wall. Diastolic usually 60 to 90 millimeter of mercury. Okay? If the pressure goes above 130 millimeter of mercury, we consider that as hypertension. Hypertension or high blood pressure. there are different stages of hypertension. Stage 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So stage 4 is severely high blood pressure. Okay, so and stage 1 is the very early stage of high blood pressure. Now, two other pressures we measure from this systolic and diastolic. One is called the pulse pressure. What is pulse pressure? Very simple, systolic minus diastolic. Systolic minus diastolic. Okay. Another pressure we calculate is called the mean arterial pressure. Mean arterial pressure, or MAP, M-A-P, which is diastolic plus 1/3 of pulse. So you add diastolic and 1/3 of what? Pulse pressure. Pulse means pulse pressure here, not the heart rate. Okay, now I'll give you a simple math. If your systolic is 120, diastolic is 90 millimeter of mercury, what is your pulse pressure? 30, right? 30. Okay. Not difficult. Okay. How about your mean arterial pressure? 100, right? Yes. Pulse pressure is 30, so 1/3 of 30 is what? 10. Plus diastolic is 90, right? So 90 plus 10 is 100 millimeter of 1/3 of pulse. 1/3 of pulse. Okay. So now mean arterial pressure, just know that is important, because if the mean arterial pressure goes below 80, in this case it is 100, right? Mean arterial pressure. If it goes below 80 millimeter of mercury, below 80 millimeter of mercury, mean arterial pressure, that is not good. That tells that your organs, internal body organs, are not getting enough blood perfusion. Okay? Not enough blood supply is reaching to the internal organs. Okay, so those are different types of blood pressure. Now the regulation of blood pressure. 3 factors directly change the blood pressure. One is blood volume. Can directly change the blood pressure. Number 2, cardiac output. Number 3, peripheral resistance. So these are 3 factors directly alter the blood pressure. Okay. Blood volume. If blood volume is more, pressure on the arterial wall will be what? More. I told you, more blood, more pressure on the arterial wall. So that is very simple, right? So if blood volume increases, that increases the blood pressure. Okay. Cardiac output. This is actually force of, it depends on force of contraction. Force of contraction of the heart. Of the heart. Now you tell me, I already explained that. So this is your heart. If the heart contracts very forcefully, lot of blood will enter into the artery, right? So pressure on the wall will be high. So if the heart contracts weakly, like you have heart failure, heart is contracting like this, weak, not forcefully. Most of the blood will remain inside the heart, right? Will not be able to get out. So pressure will be low. Okay. So force of contraction is another factor that determines cardiac output. That means how much blood is getting out. Cardiac output means how much blood is getting out in 1 minute. Okay. So that is another factor. Peripheral resistance. Remember, peripheral. That means not the heart. Heart is center, right? Heart is what? Center. Peripheral structures are what? The blood vessels. Outer, right? Structures. Okay. So when we say peripheral, that means we indicate the blood vessels. Okay. So arterial wall. Make sense? Arteries. In simple word, arteries. Peripheral. Okay. Now, you tell me, look at me. This is your artery, okay? This is your artery. And this is another person's artery, okay? Same amount of blood is passing through this one and this one. This one is wider, this one is what? Narrow. Same amount of blood is passing. So, on which wall the pressure will be high? Smaller. Make sense? So, if your arterial lumen opening is narrow, pressure will be high. Make sense? On the wall. And what can cause that? Anybody? Atherosclerosis. If fat, lipid, cholesterol accumulates inside the artery for a long time, right? Slowly, then the lumen will get narrow. So the pressure will be high. Lumen narrow means peripheral resistance is high. Okay, pressure is high. Okay. Now, another factor. Let me tell you another situation. These two arteries have same sized opening, lumen. Okay, same. This one's wall has more elasticity, and this one is hard, no elasticity. Elasticity is gone. This one has a lot of elasticity, okay? Same amount of blood ion passing through these two. This one will do what? Expand, right? This one will not. So pressure on which one will be more? This one. Make sense? Because this cannot expand. So blood will try to push more. Is it clear? So that is another situation. Loss of elasticity in the arterial wall. That also increases the resistance, okay? That increases the blood pressure. More resistance, more blood pressure. Very simple. Okay. Now, what can cause that? When we get old, the elasticity gradually lost. Okay? So wall becomes hard. Hardening of the arterial wall. Cannot expand because of loss of what? Elasticity. Loss of elastic fibers. And that happens in old age. Also, if someone has prolonged, accumulation of fat, that is atherosclerosis, that will eventually cause hardening of the wall. Smoking, those people who smoke a lot, their arterial wall gets harder. Okay, so there are many factors. So two conditions I explained. One is, this is the artery, okay? Sometimes this is the artery, arterial wall. So this is the lumen. Fat can accumulate in the wall. So this is fat, okay? That is called, anybody? Plaque. P-L-A-Q-U-E. Is there any C? Okay, plaque. Okay, so accumulation of fat can partially block the arterial lumen. So that is called plaque. And if that happens in the wall of the coronary artery or the artery of your brain, right? That will narrow the lumen and less blood will go to the tissue. Make sense? So that will cause, in case of heart, angina pectoris, I explained to you before, less blood will cause pain in the tissue. Ischemia in the brain. Make sense? Less blood is going to the tissue, that will cause ischemia, a pain in the brain. So we know ischemic heart attack or brain, ischemia in the brain. So that could be due to narrowing of the lumen of the artery. So less blood will pass. Now this condition is called atherosclerosis. Accumulation of fat inside the wall of the artery and narrowing of the artery, that will reduce the flow of the blood. Is it clear? Okay. Another condition I have mentioned, that no fat, but for some reason fat can also do that, has made the wall hard, hardening of the wall. Okay, so elasticity is lost, wall got harder. This condition is called arteriosclerosis. It's a slightly different name. Hardening of the wall is arteriosclerosis, and narrowing of the wall due to accumulation of fat is called what? Atherosclerosis. Okay. Now, there is a way to fix it. Surgical procedure is called angioplasty. Have you heard that? Coronary, in case of heart, we say coronary angioplasty. Angioplasty. Okay, to fix this narrowing of the lumen. Angioplasty is, most of the cases, angioplasty is done to place what? Stent. Have you heard that? Stent? It's a tube that will open this arterial lumen more. Okay? So what we do, stent, we place the stent inside the blocked artery. The procedure is like, we pass the stent through a catheter by opening the, which artery is here? Femoral artery. This is the femoral area, right? Big artery here. So in the groin area, we have femoral artery. So we will pass a catheter through the femoral artery, through the aorta, okay? We'll go all the way into the coronary artery, okay? And through that catheter, we pass that stent, that tube, small piece of tube into the coronary artery. And when it will arrive here, that tube will arrive here, we do ballooning, expand it. So what will happen? It will get big like this. So that will make the lumen bigger. Okay. then we take the catheter out. Okay? Keep the stent there. So that is one way to increase the size of the lumen, to increase the blood flow. Okay? That is called angioplasty. Okay, now sometimes another clinical condition, the wall of the artery, this is the artery, in one area, for example here, the arterial wall got weak. So if that person has high blood pressure, what will happen? That pressure, since the wall here is weak, that will expand, push the wall outwards. And this is called aneurysm. Have you heard this? Aneurysm, expansion or ballooning of or dilation of the wall of the artery. And this could be dangerous sometime, you know, if pressure is more and more, that can rupture. Aneurysm, it can rupture, right? And then if it happens in the brain, aneurysm in the brain, that if that aneurysm ruptures, then bleeding will occur in the brain, right? So that could be dangerous. The term we use stroke very often in the brain. Two things can cause it, just opposite. One is like, as I said, if you have aneurysm here, expansion, dilation, then that can rupture and bleeding can occur. Okay, rupture can cause bleeding. So that is one type of stroke due to hemorrhage or bleeding. Another is if plaque is formed here. So this tissue will not get enough oxygen and nutrition. That is also stroke. So it could be either due to rupture of the blood vessel, okay, and damage of the tissue, brain tissue, or due to blockage of the artery, that will cause also tissue damage. Okay, so just know those few things. Regulation of blood pressure. Regulation of blood pressure. Three ways the blood pressure is being regulated in your body. One is called nervous regulation. Another is called the endocrine regulation, and number three, renal regulation. So your nervous system, right, works to regulate or maintain the blood pressure. Your endocrine system through the hormones, right? We know endocrine system works through the hormones. So that is the hormonal regulation of blood pressure. And renal, kidney, urinary system. Okay, so those are three systems or three ways the regulation of blood pressure or control of blood pressure occurs. Now, nervous regulation. This is the aorta. How many of you remember from aorta, three arteries arise? Remember that from aorta? Brachiocephalic trunk, left common carotid, subclavian, right? So this is the common carotid artery, and this is the aorta. And common carotid divides into two, right and left. In the wall of the aorta, you have the receptors. Same receptors are located in the common carotid artery where it divides into two. So these receptors are called baroreceptors. Most of the baroreceptors are located in the aortic wall of the aorta, and at the bifurcation of common carotid artery where it divides. Okay, so these are baroreceptors. Baro indicates what? Anybody? Have you heard barometer? Pressure. Yes. So, right? Pressure. Barometer. So baroreceptors detect what? Pressure. So these are pressure receptors. Okay, they can detect the pressure on the wall, arterial wall. Is it clear? Okay. So that's why they are called baroreceptors. This is your brain. Okay. And this is your heart. And this is the artery. Okay? So this is heart, this is artery. Okay. Now, you tell me, you will understand, not difficult. If the pressure of blood increases here, who will detect that? Baroreceptors, right? They will detect the pressure change. So if the pressure goes up, baroreceptors will be activated, right? Will detect it, and baroreceptors will send signal to the brain. That's the first thing. Will send signal to the brain. Now, brain should do what? Decrease the blood pressure or increase further? Decrease, right? Everybody? Because pressure is high. So brain will do what? Try to decrease it, bring back to normal, right? Okay. So brain will send signal to the wall of the heart and to the arterial wall. Now you tell me, few minutes ago I told you, if heart contracts forcefully, blood pressure will be high, right? More blood will get out. In this case, should the heart contract more forcefully or reduce the force of contraction? Reduce, right? So brain will tell the heart, don't contract too forcefully. Make sense? Send less blood to the outside. Is it clear? So we inhibit the force of contraction. Okay? So heart will contract less forcefully. Number one. So that will reduce the blood pressure. Now let's see the arterial wall. I also explained to you that this is the arterial wall. Now pressure is high, so brain should tell the arterial wall to relax or contract more to decrease the blood pressure. Relax. Make sense? So if arterial wall relaxes, it will widen the lumen. Make sense? It will make the lumen wider. So pressure will go down on the wall. Make sense? So by decreasing the peripheral resistance, this is peripheral resistance. Okay? So decreasing the force of contraction in the heart wall will reduce the blood pressure and decreases the peripheral resistance. That means vasodilation, dilatation of the blood vessel. Both will do what? Will reduce the blood pressure. Okay? So inhibitory and will cause vasodilation. Decrease force of contraction. So that's how the brain will lower the blood pressure. Okay, so blood pressure will go back to normal. Does it make sense? Make sense, everybody? So first thing you need to think, kind of signal brain should send to the heart? Reduce the force of contraction, right? So that will send less blood to the arterial pressure will go down. And on the wall, arterial wall, what kind of signal should go from the brain? Dilate. Okay? So pressure will be less on the wall. Okay? Yeah, change of blood pressure. Now, if the blood pressure drops, goes below normal, baroreceptors can detect that too, right? Because baroreceptors can detect the change of blood pressure. So in this case, so if the blood pressure drops, baroreceptor will send signal to the brain. In this case, brain will just send opposite signal to the heart and the blood vessels. We tell the heart to do what? Contract more forcefully, right? And tell the arterial wall to do what? Constrict. Make sense? So the pressure will go up. Is it clear? Okay, so vasoconstriction and reduce the force of, increase the force of contraction to increase the blood pressure. Okay? So that's how the nervous regulation is done. That's the nervous regulation. Okay? Now, endocrine regulation. A number of hormones can increase the blood pressure. Adrenaline increases the force of contraction. So heart will pump more forcefully. Blood pressure will go up. Angiotensin increases the blood pressure. Antidiuretic hormone or ADH increases the blood pressure. And another one that is called atrial nitriuretic polypeptide. Atrial nitriuretic polypeptide is a difficult name. Atrial, let me write it down. Atrial nitriuretic polypeptide. Now, just know that these three increase the blood pressure. This one comes from the wall of the atrium, of the heart. Atrial wall, muscle fibers secrete this. And this one lowers the blood pressure. So most of the hormones are to increase the blood pressure. Adrenaline increases the force of contraction. Angiotensin works mainly on the wall of the blood vessel. So does vasoconstriction, that increases the blood pressure. Antidiuretic hormone works on the kidneys. This one works on the blood vessel, artery. And adrenaline directly works on the heart. Okay? Makes sense? So adrenaline directly works on the heart, will increase the force of contraction, right? Will increase the blood pressure. Angiotensin will do what? Vasoconstriction, constriction of the artery, so that will increase the blood pressure. You already know that, right? Vasoconstriction or constriction of the artery will increase the blood pressure. And antidiuretic hormone. Now let's talk about this. Anybody, have you heard the word diuretics? Diuretics do what? Produce more urine. Diuretics produce more urine. If you take any diuretic tablet or or even coffee, works as diuretic, will produce more urine. So antidiuretic will do what? Produce more or less? Less urine. Anti means opposite, right? Antidiuretic hormone. It is telling you, its name is telling you. Antidiuretic. That means will produce less urine. So now you tell me, if your kidneys are producing less urine and another person's kidneys are producing more urine, blood volume will be less in second person, right? Because more water is getting out, so volume will go down. So antidiuretic hormone will preserve the water, will not let the water get out through the urine. So we'll do what? We'll increase the blood volume. If the blood volume is up, blood pressure is up. You remember I said 3 factors. Number 1 was blood volume. Remember? So if antidiuretic hormone works more, less urine will be produced. That means water will be retained in the body, right? Blood volume will go up, blood pressure will go up. Make sense? So working on the kidneys. Okay, so that's the endocrine. Now renal regulation. This is also called long-term regulation. Renal regulation is also called long-term regulation. Now, if the blood pressure goes down, the flow of blood inside the kidney will be low and the kidneys will release a chemical that is called renin. Kidney will release, if the blood pressure is low, goes down, kidneys will release a chemical that is called what? Renin. That renin will this is your liver. Okay, this is the liver. Inside the liver, a chemical, a protein is synthesized that is called angiotensinogen. Angiotensinogen is produced in the liver, a very important protein. And kidney produces what? Renin. Make sense? So the kidneys, the renin will work on the angiotensinogen to convert it to angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1. Renin will convert the angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1. Then another chemical that comes from, mostly from the lungs. So this is the lung, and also from the kidneys. Kidney, mostly from the lung. So a chemical comes from these two organs that is called ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme. Angiotensin converting enzyme. Make sense? ACE comes from where? Lungs and kidneys. Make sense? Its name is telling you it will convert the angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. This is a very active chemical, angiotensin 2, very powerful. Angiotensinogen and angiotensin 1, they are not very powerful. Angiotensinogen, it itself is inactive. But angiotensin 2 is very what? Powerful, very effective. Okay? Angiotensin 2 will do what? Will cause generalized vasoconstriction. Generalized means what? Not localized. Generalized means throughout the body, whole body, right? Vasoconstriction. Makes sense? We'll work on the blood vessels everywhere in the body and we'll do constriction. Angiotensin 2. So blood pressure will go up. Makes sense? We talked about that. Blood pressure will increase. So that is direct action. Angiotensin 2 will also release the antidiuretic hormone from the pituitary gland. So blood volume will go up. Okay? So blood pressure will go up. So angiotensin 2, remember, is a very effective, very powerful chemical that increases the blood pressure. Okay? So let's quickly review. So blood pressure is regulated in your body in how many ways? Three. One mechanism is what? Nervous regulation, right? And another is the endocrine through the hormones, and last one is the renal, okay, kidneys. Now, for nervous regulation, the receptors are called what? Baroreceptors, located mostly in the wall of the aorta, bifurcation of common carotid artery, right, where common carotid divides, and other neck and upper thoracic arteries in this area, mostly in the wall of the arteries in this area. Those two arteries have plenty of baroreceptors. Okay, so anyway, if the blood pressure goes down, baroreceptors will send signal to the brain. Now brain will send signal to the heart and the arteries, right? Blood pressure is low, so heart should do what? Increase the force of contraction, right? More blood will get up, pressure will go up, right? And on the arterial wall, vasoconstriction. Make sense? To increase the resistance, blood pressure. Okay, good. Now you tell me, endocrine, you already know. Renal regulation. If blood pressure drops, kidneys will release a chemical that is called renin. Clear? And that renin will convert the angiotensinogen, which is inactive, to angiotensin 1. Angiotensinogen is synthesized in the, produced in the liver. Make sense? Angiotensin 1 is then converted to angiotensin 2 by what? ACE. Comes from the lung and some from the kidneys. Okay? Mostly from the lung. And that ACE converting enzyme will do what? Convert angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. 2 is very effective, powerful, okay? Will do generalized vasoconstriction. So that will increase the blood pressure, right? And also will increase the secretion of antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone from the pituitary gland, okay? That will increase the blood volume. Less urine, right? More blood volume. So will increase the blood pressure. Angiotensin 2 also stimulates the thirst center in your brain, in the hypothalamus. You have what center? I said thirst. So you will feel what? Thirsty. Okay? So if I stimulate your thirst center in your brain, you will feel thirsty. You will ask for water. Okay? So we have food and water intake center in the brain, in the hypothalamus. Interesting, right? You have the center in the brain. If that center is activated, you feel like hungry and thirsty. Okay? When you eat, when you are hungry, you think that I will eat a lot, right? when you are thirsty, you think you will drink a lot, but after a while you lose your interest. I don't want to eat anymore, right? After you start to eat some. Why? Because your brain, hypothalamus, has food and water intake center, and that will send inhibitory signal, okay? And you will lose interest because your blood has enough nutrients and water already. So it will work on the hypothalamus. Anyway, so that's what you need to know about the blood pressure and different types of blood pressure and regulation of blood pressure. Understand?